I wanted a bit of scatter terrain that I could use for Necromunda and Warhammer 40k, and my thought was to make pools of toxic waste. Surprisingly, I hadn't found any STLs of this online after searching, so I made my own. I printed these on my 3D printer fairly quickly. As you can see, they're pretty simple, designed to look like oozing toxic waste. With a different paint scheme, I could probably make them into pools of molten metal or lava, or something similar. After I 3D printed them, I primed them so the craft paint would stick. I went with white as I want the bright color to really pop. I have a neon green craft paint that I got on clearance at the local craft store. This stuff doesn't go on super smooth, but it really pops, especially when hit with light. I used a craft brush to stipple the neon paint onto the surface of these to avoid creating brush strokes that would give it a more artificial look. The nice thing about this technique is that it gives a sense of depth, like the stuff has different layers or that it's boiling with its own internal heat. I like to have scattered terrain like this as it tells more of a story about the location during a battle. It's also great for when I'm plotting out a scene in a book and I'm looking for inspiration. I can spice things up by having radioactive or mutagenic waste that the heroes have to dodge, or pools of acid that devour flesh. You know, happy little things like that to keep the stakes high. By the way, don't forget to like and subscribe. Also, I'm an author, so feel free to check out my books in the links below. Once I had the pools painted, I also had barrels to go with them that I had 3D printed. Some were designs I had found, but I also made some barrels of my own. These give the illusion that they're melting or sinking into the pools, creating an illusion of depth. They can also be used just on the flat ground, looking like partially buried barrels. I primed the barrels silver and then hit them up with burnt umber craft paint to give them a rusted and corroded look. With both barrels and pools painted, I put them together, and I have to say, for such a quick project, I'm really happy with how they turned out. Here's the big reveal, of course. Since they're flat on the bottom, I can use them for Necromunda tiles, or on the boarding action tiles I created, or just on normal playmats for that matter. I've already used them in a couple of games, and I love the visual interest that they add to the game, as well as adding tactical hazards on the battlefield. That's all for now. Thank you for watching.